dude, I thought for sure when you got married and you made X amount of dollars and everything happens in life that you thought was what you
The
wanted,
American dream.
something would change.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's like, no, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Because once you hit this amount, you're going to want more. Or once you hit that,
Yeah.
it's not good enough because
Yeah.
the white picket fence isn't big enough now.
Yeah, you heard what I said. This is for my family, GodDream in my head. Oh yeah, you heard what I said. This is for my family, GodDream in my head. Oh yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Let's go.
Guys, welcome back to the GodDream TV podcast. We're so excited. Honestly, guys, just thank you so much for everyone that's been listening. Make sure that you share these episodes with anyone that you think needs to hear them and just wants to be encouraged. And if you want to be on the podcast itself, shoot us a DM. We would love to have you on and just kind of chat about the Lord because we all love the Lord. So, hey. Today we got our boy Reagan Ballard with us today. And bro, like you've seen the podcast before. You know, we just talk about God. Really is all we do.
Yeah.
And how good he is. So we just want to hear from you, like what's God kind of been speaking to you or what's been on your heart lately?
So I think something for me, and this is just something I've shared with a lot of people in the season that I'm in, is really identifying the difference between craving and hunger.
Yeah.
And so for me, a hunger is something that we all feel as human nature. Like as humans, we all have this genuine hunger inside of us for something.
Yeah.
And so it's like that can be fueled by this substance or this relationship or this or that. And it can be filled by all sorts of things. And I think that the Lord is really teaching me that you can have hunger for me,
Yeah.
but that hunger can also be satisfied by this relationship, by this substance. And so for me, it's really translating to the analogy I like to use is you can be hungry and a carrot will satisfy you, but so will a cupcake.
Yeah.
But if you're craving a cupcake, only the cupcake is going to satisfy that craving.
Yeah.
And so it translate that to my relationship with the Lord. And the Lord really spoke to me in the season that's like, you have to be craving me because craving, I'm the only thing that's going to satisfy you in this season because you're craving me. You want more of me and nothing else.
Yeah.
Nothing else will satisfy that. No substance, no relationship. No substitute will fill the void of that craving. And so that's something that the Lord has been teaching me in this season for sure. And so it's something that I've shared a lot because I think it is such a powerful testament because I'm guilty of just being
Oh,
hungry.
bro, we all are.
Yeah. It's like,
We all are.
it's so easy to fall into, I'm hungry. And so, well, I'm not feeling it today. I'm going to settle for this.
Yeah.
And I'm going to settle for this. And craving and living a life that's craving says, no, I'm not going to settle. I'm not going to just take this little bit. I want the full thing.
Bro, it's like, I want Krispy Kreme, and I'm not going to stop until I get Krispy Kreme.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Dude, Krispy
Yeah.
Kreme is fire.
Yeah, it is.
Kreme is fire.
I like that.
Yeah. And so I think, even to tie that in, even like biblically, like I think of somebody like David in the Bible, was somebody just a man after God's own heart. And we were talking about this earlier, is he was hungry, but obviously with his pitfalls, and his walk with the Lord, he was also hungry for other things other than the Lord.
Yeah.
And so it took him much longer to develop his craving. And so it's like Bathsheba, for example, he was hungry. We have that genuine hunger inside all of us as humans. So he was hungry, but he filled the void with something that wasn't of the Lord.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it took him a while to develop this craving. It's like, Lord, I know I'm hungry, but teach me to crave you.
Wow.
Yeah.
I really want more of you and nothing else.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
substitutes. And so that's like even an example biblically. It's like,
Yeah.
that's really like challenging is like a man after God's own heart was still somebody who fell into base level hunger.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's something that you have to, I guess, train yourself, train your heart, your mind, and your body, your spirit.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't come naturally. It's like, it's very, very much something that you have to work towards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, I think just everything you're saying, to be real, like that's one thing we strive to do on this podcast is not do the church presentation. And for me, I am really good at looking hungry.
Right.
But no, let me say this. I'm really good at looking like I'm craving the Lord, but deep down, I'm just filling myself, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, with other things. So I've been on this journey. We've been talking about it a little bit on the podcast. I think Frank and I, similar times, like we just started like to hunger prayer or crave prayer, let's say that.
Yeah.
And like, dude, we've just been like meeting up, just praying in the spirit. And dude, I think I'm for the first time really realizing the importance of spending time with God.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because there's so many things we could be hungry for. And a lot of the times, if we're not disciplined to crave, we'll fill ourselves with other things. It's like a discipline.
Right.
And that word could seem scary, or it could encourage us. Like, I need God so much that I'm going to get up and pray, even though I want to sleep in. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't know if that like kind of relates to anyone that's listening, but I think if you're not craving right now, you can get there.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think like whenever we start to crave something, at least for me personally, I tie it to a moment, right? Like in life, whether it's something practically, like sometimes you just crave listening to like a specific song because it reminds you of a moment in life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that's real. Yeah.
Like, go ahead.
There's this Drake song I listened to in high school. I don't know. I just thought of it. It would get me in my feelings every time.
Oh,
But
yeah.
Is it In My Feelings, that song?
I think so.
So
or Marvin's Room or something. Marvin's Room. I just put on my hoodie, bro, and just go in.
I love it, dude. No, that's real. I mean, that really is real.
Yeah. And so I think that's a good way to like create a craving, right? Because I think we have to create the craving. It's just like you were saying, like there's a natural hunger in humans, and those desires and needs are normal and they're God given.
Right.
But we run to other things like all the time. And so to create the craving, it's like we've got to be disciplined enough to run to the Lord in those moments, bro. Like I can't tell you, bro. I was even talking to Pastor D this morning and I was just like, bro, like there's just times, man, where I got to be straight up with the Lord. And I'm like, hey, man, I get it that you're here to like fill like the love part, right? And like the, oh, you're enough and all those things. I'm like, but what do you do when it's with guys, when it's such a practical thing of like lust, right? Like, bro, when it's a 16-year-old dude dealing with his horniness, like,
no, yeah, it's real.
Let's be honest. Yeah. Or when you're 25 or when you're or 40, like whatever, bro. Like, you know, I know grown men that still deal with the same thing. And I'm like, in those moments, like telling the Lord, like, God, I'm running to you because I'm feeling a specific thing and I don't want to do anything stupid. And I need you, like I literally tell him, like, I need you right now, either take it away or satisfy something in my mind. And then he'll send like someone that needs prayer, which is weird. Yeah. Remember I told you the other day, I was like, bro, I was about to stumble heavily. I'm like, and then next thing you know, 2 people text me. They're like, bro, I just need you to pray for me. Can you call me right now? And I was like, and it completely, and then I was satisfied in pouring out, right? And so it was like, and that wasn't so much but my discipline was going to the Lord immediately and vocalizing it and being like, bro, I need you right now. And then that starts creating a craving because now it's like, man, like, I don't want anything else. I don't want anything else.
Yeah, dude. And to go off what you were talking about with the hunger versus craving, I'm thinking about if I'm hungry, right? It doesn't matter if you bring me Chick-fil-A or Whataburger. I'm going to eat it. Well, actually, those are 2 really good things. I didn't work too well. McDonald's or Whataburger, right? I would never eat McDonald's. But needless to say, I'll eat it because I'm hungry. But when I'm craving something, I won't eat it unless I'm craving it. So the point is like, I need to crave God's presence more than I crave my flesh.
Yes.
And I think the more that we turn towards God, the easier it becomes. Because, dude, I'm not going to lie, bro. Like, I was talking to PD2 this morning and, like, met with P Cam, and it's like, dude, I thought for sure when you got married and you made X amount of dollars and everything happens in life that you thought was what you wanted, something would change. Right. And it's like, no, it doesn't. Yeah. Because once you hit this amount, you're going to want more. Or once you hit that, it's not good enough because the white picket fence isn't big enough now. And now you want, and you know, and it's like, bro.
The American dream doesn't satisfy, only the God dream. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There you go. Shameless plug. I like that.
Yeah, for real. Dude, so I've known you for, I don't know how long. 5 years.
Dude. Yeah. 4 or 5 years. Yeah.
Bro, you have been killing it. An internship. How has that 2-year or so now process been like? Because I know you've known the Lord for a long time, but what has your experience been with the college?
Yeah, I mean, I love what you guys were talking about with the word discipline, and I think that a big part of altering the perspective of having hunger to craving is really that daily discipline. It's very much daily, and it's stoking your fire
Yeah.
So I think if you don't, and this is going to sound so cliche, so mundane, but it's literally just
Those are
spending time with the
those are
Lord.
typically the true things, though.
Yeah, no, that's very,
the cliche
very much so.
is the real thing.
Yeah.
And it's just spend time with the Lord daily.
Yeah.
And I think it's so much as a stigma as that Christians put on each other. It's like, oh, I have to be praying in tongues for 3 hours consistently every week, every month, whatever. It's like, dude, sometimes we have 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're driving to work and just flip worship music on,
Yeah.
and just spend some time with the Lord. And so I think for me, it's just that moment where I took the weight off of my shoulders of this has to be something that I really invested in. It's something that I pour into, as it should be.
Yeah.
But I put so much weight on my shoulders of it has to look this certain way.
Yeah.
It has to be this certain amount of time.
Yeah.
Or I have to get this much out of it.
Or it's got to look like this person's.
Right.
Yeah.
Because everybody's watching.
Which is the biggest thing I think that everyone struggles with.
Yeah.
And
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and just even in the 2 years, just like knowing that in the midst of that my days are so much better because of it. And so I think when I took that weight off my shoulders, it's just like the Lord was speaking to me, just spend time with me. The moment that I took that weight off my shoulders is the moment that it was really authentic and for myself. I was like, I know that I'm putting in what I can give.
Yeah.
And it's so much more quality over quantity. And so
It
like
really
for
is.
me, like it's just sometimes I have 5 minutes, sometimes I have 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's just like there's no more or less of an encounter, more or less of a relationship, based on how much time you spend or anything like that. And so just knowing that it's dig daily.
Yeah.
And stoke that fire daily and as much as you can. And I think that's something that really has been the game changer for me. It's like, because you have, like you said, it's just daily discipline.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to get there if you're not consistently chasing after it. You know?
That's so true.
But, and what were you going to say?
Man, dude, like I think for comparison, just when you were talking about it doesn't have to look like a certain person.
Yeah.
I think for people who feel called to ministry and preaching specifically, it's like, dude, you don't have to preach like Bishop.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, look at Tyshawn, bro.
Yeah, bro. Talk about that. That way the dude preached was incredible.
Yeah.
And he didn't get up and like shout or nothing.
He was
bro.
not verticking it.
He was
nothing,
himself.
bro.
Yeah.
And it was phenomenal.
He was
Yeah.
Pastor Tyshawn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It was. Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Like to be at a place, I feel like where you're living in your call and in your lane so much, people can only describe you as you.
Yeah.
So it's not, he sounded like Stephen Furtick. He sounded like
Yeah.
whoever, any of the big names
Yeah.
like Bishop, but it's like Pastor Tyshawn sounded like Pastor Tyshawn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, because
Yeah.
he's so in his own lane. He's so developed in his call.
Yeah.
PD sounds like PD.
Yeah. I did tell Pastor Tyshawn, I was like, bro, you sound like a young black Judah Smith.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Because I'm obsessed with Judah. But yeah, bro. And I think the only way that comes is by spending time with the Lord and getting your identity in him, right? Catching your voice in him. Like anybody that like wants to preach and like do ministry, I'm like, you have to spend time with the Lord, right? And you've got to like make it a priority. And I love the whole, like, you know, if you only have 5 minutes, then you have 5 minutes. But it's like we with the calling that we carry, we have to get to a place where it's like, I'm not going to allow myself to only have 5 minutes.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I am going to carve out space. It's like what you were saying, like you could sleep in or you could burn.
Right.
and I think that's like, it starts happening and there's seasons.
Right.
I think there's seasons. But PD, bro, like, I respect him so much because ever since I've known him for like, I think 11 years now, every single day, like he just does not miss, period, you know?
Right.
And I just remember always wanting to be like that and striving for that. And then getting burnt out because I was like not resting and all this stuff. But it wasn't that I wasn't resting enough. It's that the motive was, I want to do it because PD is doing it.
Yeah.
Right.
It wasn't, I'm so in love with you that I got to spend time with you. Like right now, bro, 45 minutes goes like that when I spend it with the Lord. Like so quickly. Like there's, you know, I'll be honest, there's days where I do spend multiple hours.
Right.
Sometimes even at night when I get home, I don't go to sleep till like 2 a.m. and I'm just spending time with him. I'm like, bro, like, but it's because I fell in love with him. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to mute that real quick.
Yeah. Go for it. our annual Slack in the middle of
Oh
Yeah.
in the middle of the
Slack is
podcast,
crucial.
every episode.
It always happens.
Yeah.
Bro, like, and I think that what you were saying is that has to be developed.
Yes.
Because I think of craving almost like addiction, right? I
Yeah.
could say I'm borderline addicted to sugar-free Red
Red
Bull
Bull.
right now. I literally, like, I crave it.
Mhm.
And it's because I've had it consistently.
Yes.
And I think the more, I mean, I'll speak for myself.
Mhm.
Okay, let me just share like what I went through. I got out of internship because I was stoking the fire daily, like digging daily.
Right.
And as soon as I got out of internship, we didn't have the Tuesday prayer sets. We didn't have the Wednesday night services. Well, I still went, but
Yeah.
we didn't have the Thursday night. Like we were able to drink. We were able to do this and do that. And
Yeah.
before you know it, bro, that fire isn't burning like it used to burn.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Especially when you have your friends who used to love the Lord and used to push you and now they're going the other way. And it's like,
Yeah.
bro, if you don't have
Yeah.
like that time, bro.
Yeah.
And I'm just realizing this
Yeah.
like 3
Mhm.
weeks ago.
Well,
And
it's
it's
like Sammy's boss, Stacy.
Yeah.
She said this to me and it changed something in me. She was like, what's free is rejected and what's paid for is respected.
Mm,
And so when we give God our free time,
yep.
it's like
Mm.
we're just giving him kind of what we got.
Yeah.
And it's not that valuable in those moments. You know, we're still like, oh man, I spent time with the Lord, like all that good stuff. But when it costs you something, bro, Mike Todd said this, and I said
love
this to
Mike
you
Todd.
and Zach. Mike Todd was like, you know, the Bible says that we owe him 10% of everything. So why do we assume it's money? I was like, what about our time?
Mm.
He's like, we owe him 2.4 hours of our day.
Mm.
That's what we owe him.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like of
Right.
everything.
Wow.
And I remember when I heard that, I was like, bro. And I remember trying so hard, like to have like specifically 2.4 hours. And then I was like, anything more than that will be an offering, right? Time wise. But it was hard.
Yeah.
But it cost me. It'll cost
Yeah.
me sleep. It'll cost me hangouts. I had one of the college students was like, bro, like I just really want to like, you know, just burn for the Lord. And I don't know. I just feel like I'm like hitting like a wall and da 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 da. And I was like, all right, well, what's your days look like, you know, when you are in internship? And he was like, you know, just da da da, and then go lunch. And I was like, how about you skip a couple lunches during the week instead of going and hanging out for 30 minutes? Why don't you eat 5 minutes or fast and get into prayer while everyone's hanging out, having a good time, which I'm all for. I'm not against community.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm like, but what if you set yourself apart and you decided to burn and you do it privately?
right.
So now what you're doing privately got a reward in whatever area it is that you're looking for.
Yeah.
Like it could just be intimacy. What if you unlock a new place with the Lord because you sacrifice a lunchtime?
Yeah.
I love that you say privately too, because I think that hunger won't come from I mean, I would say craving. I'm sorry, we're talking about craving, but craving won't come from practicing this publicly.
Yeah.
'Cause it's not between you and people.
Nope.
Yeah.
It's not for
Nope.
people to see.
Yeah. It's really
And so
good,
I think
bro.
stoking your fire has to be something that, and obviously there's going to be environments where you're praying around other people. I'm not saying
Yeah.
to be on your toes about that, but I'm saying
Yeah.
if your motive is so people can see me. So, PD's walking by, I'm gonna pray a little extra harder.
Oh,
PCam's
yeah.
walking by, I'm gonna pray a little extra harder. It's just like, that's not authentic craving. Craving is like you were saying, like you were talking about PD. You're not
Yeah.
praying because you, not to be like PD or because PD does this, but because I am so hungry that I want this for myself. I
Yes.
just
Yeah.
want more of you, God. And so like, I love that you touched on privately, because that's really, that's where it happens.
Yeah.
And I think that even we were talking about the college students and environments, is we carve out 40 minutes
Yeah.
Yeah.
every morning for
Mhm.
prayer. Like
Yep.
it's part of our program. It's in our schedule, and we corporately pray for
Yeah.
40 minutes.
Yeah.
What happens when I'm currently a second year in the college program? What happens when I leave and I
Yeah.
don't have that required
Yeah.
40 minutes? Am I
Yeah.
going to make that time?
Or am I, more than, let's take it a step further, not just required, but like somebody cut it out for you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like what happens when it's time to start cutting it out yourself?
Right.
Yeah.
And now you're like, now you're saying, oh, I either got to cut into like this or I got to cut into this.
Mm-hmm. And
What happens then?
And dude, I think because I'll be even more transparent, I coasted through 96.3% of my internship prayers. You know how I would pace back and forth, look around, get distracted.
oh, yeah.
And as soon as PD or PCAM,
You
of course,
went in.
I went in
Mm-hmm.
and I took,
Right.
and I think it was because I don't know exactly why, honestly. I think it was a lot of different things, but I was so used to the environment that I took it for granted.
Yeah.
And if we're not careful, that first love, if you look, it always happens when we take God's presence for granted, when we get a hard heart towards him. So I've been praying, and I was saying this morning, dude, it's like,
elaborate on hard heart too, because people may think like you're against God, but that's not it at all.
Yeah, dude, because like I was just getting this picture, right, where like my heart is like an onion, right? There's layers to my heart. And what like year more has all of these things happened, right? So month after month, bad news. And it's like, dude, if we're not careful, that stuff, it will like cut our heart without us knowing, right? So I keep picturing like my heart as an onion, and on the outside it's hard, and like God's presence is like there and ready. But I haven't even given him my heart in the moment to let him start to like peel back those layers. And I know that sounds weird, but that's when I pray. I literally pray until something happens in me. And then and it's been like,
oh, Brandon,
really
that's so legalistic. Brandon, you're not supposed to go after God. He's there already.
Yeah. So, bro, and on that, it's only legalistic if you're doing it for something.
Yes.
But if you're doing it out of the place of, God, I need you.
Yeah.
And I want you. Because, dude, I've been the most legalistic person you can imagine.
Yeah.
Like a lot of my Christian walk. I grew up like super like Baptist. Like, we didn't lift our hands. We didn't do anything, bro.
Right.
Yeah.
But I thought I had to like earn his love. It's, and like PD was talking about, it's his love that allows us to obey. And bro, check this. There's a verse that talks about God desires obedience more than sacrifice.
Right.
So it's not me sacrificing my time. It's me, God, I obey you. So I give you my time. And it's like, man, the switch right there. And like, exactly like PD was talking about this week, bro. Just
oh yeah, bro. Because that's one thing that frustrates me, especially when people that have submitted under leadership to like grow, and then they're like, "Why are you pushing us?"
Right.
Bro,
This is uncomfortable.
Like-
I don't like this.
like this isn't for I'm like, this isn't for you to or for God to get to you. This is like for you to show your flesh who's boss.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because we can do exactly like what Brian was talking about. Because I had those prayers. I mean, I'll be honest, like I didn't coast through most of my prayer times. I was like, more than half the time I was on my face, like in the altar, like during internship prayer. But it's because I was going through a lot, bro. So it was easy for me to like crave the Lord in those moments, right? But I would also catch myself like just pacing and just wondering and praying, and then like just kind of like if I'm listening to the Lord, but I'm not really listening. And you know when you're coasting, bro. You know when you're not like really.
Yeah.
And then I'd be frustrated because I'm not feeling anything, and it's not based off of feelings, right? But I'm like, dude, if there's more to you, why would I not go and get it?
Right.
So I'm going to do whatever I need to do to get outside of my feeling, outside of my emotion, outside of my current circumstance, and like break through. Not to get God to break through to me, but for me to break through to him, kind of thing. And that's when the way D taught me was like, bro, you pray in the spirit. You pray in the spirit until something happens, and you get like aggressive with it. Like, God, I'm not leaving. I am not leaving until you do something in me.
Right.
I'm not leaving. I'm just not gonna leave. It's like Leonard Ravenhill. Like, God doesn't hear prayer; He hears desperate prayer. Right. We were even talking about this morning. I think it's in Matthew or Mark. I forget which one. But they tell this story, and they leave out all the detail besides like the lady who had the daughter who had like demons in her. He actually, I think it's Matthew. He says that she came up to Jesus and she didn't ask him, "Hey, heal my daughter. This is what's going on." Da, da, da. She just went up to him and was like, "Lord, help me," with an exclamation point. And like Jesus knew exactly what she needed.
Right.
And I think he wrote it in that way because he wanted us to know sometimes your strongest prayer can just be, "Help me, bro."
Yeah.
Like, help me. And that's a pretty desperate prayer. Like, I don't know what to tell you, man. I just need help.
Yeah. Dude, and I think like on that note of needing help, I don't know why this is, but I mean, we talked about it with like Carl Lentz, right?
Yeah.
Just what happened. And it's like,
Yeah.
dude, I wonder if he would have had someone that he could have been vulnerable with, right?
Right.
And this is one of the hardest things to apply
Yeah.
because in my internship years, or even just in life, bro, I only confess like when it's too late.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I confess after something happened. And it's like,
Yeah.
what if we begin to be vulnerable with the thoughts
Yeah.
before it happens? Or, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And having those relationships. And PD talked about it the other day with like, you have a Paul, Timothy, and then a Barnabas. It's like, dude, like we can be vulnerable. And honestly, I think that lets people see God in us even more. Because it's like, he's seen in our weakness. Why do we think we have to be so strong?
Why?
Right.
It's like, bro. Dude, and I don't know, guys, what is going on with my computer right now, but I apologize.
Oh, here, I'm gonna mute it. There we go.
There it is. There it is. I think that's uncomfortable though, right?
Yeah.
I think when there's moments where I've been vulnerable or gone through things, it's always, I beat this. So I tell who my accountability is or who's pastoring me in that moment is like, I used to struggle with this, but I beat this. And so I never want to share anything until I've conquered it. And which in reality is if I'm avoiding sharing something that I'm going through until I've beaten it, it's not really beat.
Wow. Man.
And it's like, that's like, because I mean, if I'm going to do something within my own strength, I mean, it's very biblical. It's like, you need to tell people, you need to share with people what you're going through. And so it's if I've beaten this, there's no weight to my confession. And so for me, like it's uncomfortable to do that, especially to people that you respect and that you honor. It's like I want to be known as somebody who does good. I want to be known as somebody who conquers things that they struggle with. And it's uncomfortable, but I like what you were saying. Is like maybe if we were just got to the point where we were vulnerable enough to share with somebody, we wouldn't have to deal with these big time scenarios, you know.
And bro, on that same note, I know this is so crazy, bro, but you think if only they knew what I really struggled with. Like the real deal, the ugly part, right? The thing you don't want to say the most. And everybody's probably picturing that one thing. It's usually one or two things that, oh my God, I can't talk about it. So I talk about the other 95% of the things that I'm struggling with and never mention the 5%. And dude, I struggled with this my whole life, but right now I'm intentionally not talking about the 95% because I really can handle that with God.
Right.
I need to talk to the accountability about the shady stuff. Right. Like, hey, I have been struggling with drinking, Pastor Cam. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to drink anymore because that's something I used to struggle with. You know what I'm saying? And I thought, oh my gosh, Brandon, are you kidding me? I can't believe you would do this, bro. Like, you can't do anything anymore. You're never going to be able to be used by God. No, it's the opposite, bro. The
opposite
of
the gospel.
Dude, I love you so much. Like, you're called. You're a man of God. Let me pray for you. Let me hold you accountable. It's like, we don't think that, but that's the truth, bro. That's what it's for. And if we're spending our time talking about all this other stuff, it's like, bro,
that's why I loved what Tyshawn preached on and the way that he delivered it. And I respect like the text messages that I got. I genuinely respect those people so much. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's why I made it a point, like, bro, when he was making that altar call, I was like, I'm gonna be the first one to stand up. I don't care. Like, oh, you lead prayer. So what?
Yes.
So what?
Why is that?
Everyone you get invited to preach.
We all have.
So what? Like, I'm a human, bro. And I want to show, and I think that's why I got some text messages. I think those people saw me stand up and they were like, bro, I can trust him. I can trust him. You know what I'm saying? Like, because at the end of the day, if someone's not standing up and being like, bro, I'm going through stuff, why would I ever talk to someone who doesn't deal with the struggle? Why
what
would
advice are they going to give you?
Why would I ever do that? You know what I'm saying? It's like, no. It's like whenever you go, like back in the day when I was fighting, I'm like, I would talk to like my boys that like whenever they lost the fight, I'm like, bro, like, what do you think you could have done different? And we start talking and they like just see what they could have done. And then guess what? When we go back on the mat, the dudes that lost are training. They're way better training partners than the dudes that won. Because they're like, I gotta get better, bro. I gotta get better. I gotta, and
because they're hungry.
Exactly, bro. Because vulnerability, it leads you back to God. It does. Like if I'm talking to Brandon, I'm just like, bro, I'm doing so good. Like I got everything under control, whatever. Why do I need God?
Yeah.
Why does God exist? If he's not my provider, if he's not my comfort, if he's not my great counselor, if he's not my friend that sticks closer than a brother, if he's not my father, why do I need him?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Like share everything and find the people to do it with. Don't just like tell everyone everything, obviously. But
I mean, I love what you're saying about leaders in that room stood up before any other student before. It's like you had Pastor Cam stand up, you had Jimmy stand up, you had Brandon stand up. So you have these leaders that people love and respect and honor so much as a youth student, as a college student, and you had all of our college students standing. And so for me, in a student's shoes, I'm in 6th grade and I see the people I respect and love most of my life stand up and they're struggling too. And that's just such a reminder that it's just like we're all human. Yeah. So it's like I respect a leader, like you were saying. I was like, I wouldn't want to follow someone who claimed perfection. Yeah. And so I love the vulnerability that our not only our church carries as a culture, but just that the people that I lead with and that I serve with, we carry such a vulnerability and a willingness to share what we're going through. I think the biggest enabler for me to have a foot in both doors. Because in high school, my high school years for sure, I was like, I loved being in ministry and I loved being in the church, but I also didn't want to take my foot out of the party scene, the substance scene, the relationship scene. And so for the biggest enabler for me was keeping that one thing tucked in my back pocket. Yeah. And so I love that example because I don't necessarily think that I learned until a much older age that sharing what you're going through is not weakness. Yeah. It really shows for the example of myself, it's like, that's a real man. Yeah. Like that's what a real man does. Yeah. And a vulnerability is a sign of manhood. Yeah. And so for me, I always saw that as a sign of weakness, and that's just my own mindset on it. But I think what enabled me most was just I have this one thing in my back pocket. If I share this with anybody, it's over. Yeah. Like any capital that I've built up here in the church, it's over. Yeah. Any capital I've built up here in the world, it's over. Yeah. Yeah. And so for me,
in a relationship, bro.
Yeah, 100%.
Of influence.
Yeah.
That's what you feel like.
Yeah, like if you're in a relationship, I love this girl. I'm in high school. I love this girl. Or you're a girl. I love this guy. And so if I share this with an authority figure in my life, they're going to make me break up with them. So it's just I think fear is the biggest thing that holds us back from being honest and transparent with the people in our lives. And it's at the end of the day, most of the time, if you have a good leader in your life, they're gonna be, dude, I love you so much. Yeah. Thank you so much for trusting me with this. Yeah. This shows me verbally and through an action that you want to be different. Yeah. That you don't want to no longer live this lifestyle. Yeah. And so for me, I love that Pastor Tyshawn had us do that because that is what I needed as a student. Yeah. And I'm so glad to see that that's a culture that we've created in our churches, that students don't stand up first, leaders stand up first. Yeah. And students get to see that representation of we're in this together. Yeah.
What if leadership is nothing more than being the first one to say, I need God?
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. Dude, real. I think it is, bro. I want to hit on this really bad.
Go ahead.
So people listening might disagree, and because this would be known as a little intense, right? But I believe this with all my heart now. If you don't give God what's in that back pocket,
you don't.
Yeah, straight up,
you don't.
It's not real.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, because the problem is, what does the Bible say? It says he spits the lukewarm out, bro. I hate to go that intense. I think you can still go to heaven for sure. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know, bro. I mean, it says the road is narrow. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Picture something narrow. I think of a dark hallway. Picture something wide. I think of an ocean. The comparison, it's bro, this is real. Yeah. What we talk about and read about and preach about and pray about, it's literally real life, bro. Yeah. And so long I had stuff in my back pocket. Yeah. And it's dude, God has to have, it's either all or nothing, bro. And it's not, one more thing, it's not that you don't have something in your pocket, right? It's that every time you're with him, you give it to him. Yes. Because as soon as you leave, we all got stuff. We all have stuff, but it's not hiding it. It's shining his light on it. Because the more you do that, the less and less you have in your back pocket. Yeah. Right. I think there's always going to be something, but trying to hide it.
Yeah. It's a consistent action of giving it to him.
Yeah. Well, and this is what I think, right? If you love the Lord, genuinely love the Lord, and genuinely trust him, which I don't think we all do, right?
Mhm.
I think trusting him is a process. Like
Right.
almost every single morning, I'm like, God, help me believe you.
Right.
I want to believe you.
Mhm.
I want to believe what your word says.
Right.
Because if we believe what the Bible said, bro, our lives would look so different. You know what I'm saying? If we genuinely believed what the Bible's, if we genuinely believed that we would do greater things than Jesus did,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, what the heck, bro? But I'm like, for me, it's like, whenever you have something in your back pocket, right? We put so much emphasis on like, oh, I gotta tell Pastor D. Oh, I gotta tell Pastor Cameron, and we never tell the one that matters.
Yeah.
We never tell. Like, I'm like, I get, confess, all that stuff. Yes, I get that. I'm like, but take it to the Lord first, bro.
Right.
Take it to, like, whenever I meet with like a leader or something and they're going through something, this is what I tell them, like, for the second time that we meet. I'm like, bro, whenever you go through something, this is what I want you to do. I want you to go to the Lord first, first and foremost. Because he comes before me, he comes before Pastor D, he comes before Pastor Cam, he comes before everyone. I'm like, go to him first, deal with it with him, and then let's talk about what God spoke to you in that moment, right? And then it's a different conversation. Now it's like, bro, like I keep stumbling because the Bible doesn't tell us to fix people.
Right.
It tells us to love them.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? So where did we get this thought of like, we've got to be Jesus for these people and we got to fix them and like, and save them, when the reality is like, man, we just got to love them through their stuff.
Yeah.
Period.
Bro,
So confess
so
to
good.
the Lord, deal with it with him, because that's how you create a craving.
Yeah.
Like the reason we don't crave time with the Lord is because our time with the Lord is not real, because we're not telling him what's on our mind for
Yeah.
real.
Yeah.
All we're saying is, God, like, you're worthy. God, I glorify you. God, I exalt you. What does that mean? What does that mean to you?
Right.
Right? Like, is he worthy of your garbage? Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Give it to him then.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, tell him the thoughts that are, God, I don't feel like I'm good enough, bro. God, I genuinely feel like my life is in distress because I don't know what the hell I'm doing half the time. Like, God, I don't know how to be a father without going to sleep and feeling like I did not do enough. God, I don't know what I'm doing in my career. And like, let's talk about those. And when you talk about that with him, then guess what? You go to Pastor Dustin or Pastor Cameron. You're like, bro, this is what I've been going through, but God.
Yeah.
That's such a different
Yeah.
conversation than
Yeah.
being like, bro, this is what I'm going through. Help me.
Yeah.
Help me. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like, it's just so different. And that's how we create a craving
Yeah.
to spend time with the Lord, because it creates moments.
And bro, you know what makes it not legalistic?
Mhm.
Because what's in your pocket might be different than what's in mine.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? So like God might be asking you for something that he's not asking me for.
Yes.
And he might ask you to pray 2.4 hours. He might
Yeah.
ask me to pray 2.4 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just all
Yeah.
about like
Equal
God.
sacrifice.
Yeah, it's like, God, what are you asking of? And we
Yeah.
know, dude.
We know.
We always know. Come on, dude.
Yeah.
You know, like when you would do something behind your parents' back, and
Yeah.
even though they didn't catch you, you still had that guilt. And
Yeah.
like, what if they found out
Fear.
that
Still have
yeah.
that
Yeah.
fear.
What if
Okay.
they saw my text messages in high school, bro? Like, what, that would be awful.
Yeah.
And it's like that constant, don't look at my phone. Don't,
Yeah.
And then we do that with God. Don't
Yeah.
look at it. But he already sees
He
it.
sees
we
it. He
negotiate with
sees
a
it,
guy
bro.
that knows everything.
And
Seriously.
I don't think you can. This is insane. Like this is strict. I'm not trying to be legalistic. I think it's the opposite of legalistic. You have to give that to him. That's
Yeah.
part of this thing, bro.
Yeah.
A life laid down,
Yeah.
a living sacrifice.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's not out of I have to. It's like I get to.
Yeah.
I want to.
Yeah.
And it's like, why would I want to do that?
Mhm.
Because the goodness of God. Like it talks
Yes.
about grace draws us to what? Live in sin? No, to repentance.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how good he is.
Yeah.
That he causes us to throw
Right.
it all down
Yeah.
because he's so good.
Bro, you know why we don't take it to God, in my opinion? I think we don't take these things to God because we've had experience with other people where we're vulnerable and then they
yeah.
bite back at us.
Right.
Yeah.
So now in our mind, dude, our minds, that's why the Bible says be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Because the one thing that'll change your life, besides the Holy Ghost, is the Holy Ghost renewing your mind. And so it's like we create these like neurological patterns, right? So in our subconscious, when I'm vulnerable, I know I'm gonna get hit back. It happened in my marriage, bro. Like when I was married, I started genuinely trying to work on my stuff and being open and transparent. And when I was open and transparent, I got hit back. So in my mind, naturally, I was like, this isn't a safe place to be open and transparent. Right. So then that's created in leadership or in people that we trust. And then we smack that label on God. And we're like, I can't trust you, bro.
Right.
Because I can't trust. And when he's the only one that we can fully trust. When he's the only one that can genuinely show 100% grace. And when we start going to him and we start experiencing grace, and we start experiencing like conviction that leads us to love, like not shame, not guilt. Like when we experience holy conviction, godly conviction, it creates moments that creates a craving. So now guess what? All I want to do is like talk to him and be like, bro, this is what I'm going through, because it just feels good. It feels good to talk to him and to hear what he has to say about who you are. Because bro, when he tells you who you are, you're like, that's not me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I love like I know for a fact all too well, just being in this ministry for so long, what it's like being in a meeting with PD or PCAM. And you said it correctly. The first question I ask is, what seeds have you sown to solve this problem? I think something PD says is from the pulpit. He's like, don't come to me with a problem, come to me with a solution.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's just like if somebody, even in the people that I, am in mentorship with or that I'm discipling, my question is, what have you done in your quiet place to deal with this? Yeah. And I think I'd much rather receive, if I'm in a meeting with PCAM or PD or anybody in authority in my life, I don't want them to give me a fish. I want them to give me a fishing pole.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
I want them to teach me how to dig for myself. I want them to teach me and train me how to want more of him for myself and how to combat these things that come after me and come after my call. And so that's something that I like to implement in my life. And so that just kind of reminded me when you were talking about that. I was like, I'd much rather give somebody that I'm discipling a fishing pole than a fish.
Yeah.
Like,
dude, that's so good. And it's like, how do you learn how to fish?
Yep.
By going fishing with them.
Yeah. Yes.
If you want to learn how to pray, ask somebody who you want to pray like, if you can pray with them.
Yeah.
If you want to learn how to preach, learn how to pray.
Yeah.
I'll say, don't learn how to preach until you can pray. Because, bro, like I wanted to preach my whole life. And now it's like, I want to learn how to pray.
You heard those people that say, I feel called to preaching. Yeah. That's not a call. No. There's no such thing as a call to preaching. No. That's not a thing. I used to say that to people. And I was so ignorant. I was like, I feel called to preach. Like that's what I feel called to do. So what that looks like in my head is Stephen Furtick, Drew Smith, Bishop. I'm like, oh my gosh, that is like, that is 1% of the job.
Bro, when
1% of the job.
When I had someone tell me that once, and it was someone that I kind of had a little bit of relationship with, and I was like helping mentor them. And so I knew that I could kind of go in on them a little bit.
Sure.
And so they were like, man, bro, I really feel called to preach. I was like, oh yeah. I was like, is that your calling? Like preaching? Yeah, bro, I feel called to preach. I'm like, so you're just going to go up there and like preach and then leave? Just do nothing else? Well, no. I mean, like, maybe like speaking at conferences and da-da-da. I'm like, okay, so you're just really going to go up there and take, like, that's it. You're just going to give them something and then boom, bounce, you're out. He was like, well, no, like, I want to help people. I'm like, oh, so you feel called a pastor. Yep. Pastor comes with, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes we get so fixated on the preaching that we forget the important part, which is pastoring. If you're not pastoring, you can't preach.
That's 99% of it.
Right? Because coming up with a message, first of all, you should never have to come up with a message. You should be pastoring. And because of the conversation that's being had with your sheep, with everyone that you're pastoring, you know what they're going through. So now you know what to preach.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so easy. It's like, man, everyone is dealing with anxiety. You know what? I'm going to preach about how Jesus is the Prince of Peace.
Yeah.
And how if we cast our care, like I got messages now for days and for a month, you know what I'm saying? But if we never pastor, we're always trying to figure out what to preach. Guess what? Next time they ask you to preach, you'll know what to preach.
Right.
Because you're pastoring.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you're like, oh, I need to go home. I need to figure out like what the Lord wants me to speak. I'm like, well, the Lord's entrusted you with the people that are around you. So whatever it is that they need, just give it to them.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Bishop, study yourself full.
Yeah.
Don't study yourself for a message. Study yourself full, just across the board, always.
Dude.
And we're like so hungry to preach when we don't have a craving for the word.
Yeah.
Why do you want to preach a word that you don't love?
Yeah.
Like,
Bro, and dude, I think we overcomplicate what preaching means.
yeah,
Like, I think you preach, and then like when God shows up, you stop preaching and let
Yeah.
him move, right? So practically, what you're saying is this: if someone asks me, "What should I do with my budget?" Right? I'm not gonna pray to God, "Hey Lord, can you give me a word for them?" Like, no, I know what you should do. Like,
Yeah.
it says this, this, and this, and Dave Ramsey's thing, right? So it's
Yeah.
like I'm struggling with X, Y, and Z. Well, dude, here's some verses,
yeah,
and like now let's pray. It's like it's I don't know. It's like really cool.
yeah,
And dude, I think preaching is just reproducing who you already are.
yeah.
Yep.
So if you're not it,
Mm-hmm.
why would you preach? Like
Yeah.
Leonard Raven.
Yeah.
Bro, he
I
doesn't
love,
like
bro.
play, bro.
We'll show you Leonard Ravenhill
He's
after
like,
this,
if you're
bro.
not known in
Yeah.
hell, you're not much of a preacher anyway. 'Cause
Yeah.
he was like, the thing I envy most about Paul is that
Yeah.
it said, Jesus we know and Paul we know.
Yeah.
But who are
Who
you?
are you?
Wow.
It's like, bro.
That's incredible.
He was like, it doesn't matter how many times you hit demons as long as you don't touch the devil.
Yeah.
I was like,
Bro,
Lenny
like,
knows what he's talking
yeah,
about.
dude.
Wow.
Because I don't know. I'm just on this prayer movement right now,
Yeah.
bro. It's like,
Yeah.
I love worship. I think you have to worship. I love pastoring. I think preaching is incredible.
Yeah.
But if you're not
Prayer.
praying, bro, you can't do none of that.
What was
All of it
what Jesus said that he wanted his house to be?
a house of prayer.
Not a house of preachers,
I
bro.
mean, I think that something that I so much honor about the house that we're planted at and some of the houses that we're in relationship with is the whole aspect of I get to see these people in their daily lives and I get to see them on the pulpit and there's literally absolutely no difference.
Yeah.
yeah.
And so the ability to be able to practice and live out what you're saying from a pulpit, if you're really being honest, preaching is just sharing an excerpt of the life that you're living.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like essentially.
Literally.
And it's like, so it's like PD, PCAM, Jimmy, all these people who have the pulpit and share the pulpit at our church, Madison, they all preach things that they're currently going through for the most part. Or like, I know this is what's happening in my congregation. I know this is something that's going on or this is going on in my own life. And so I'm speaking this not out of a place of this is what the Lord is speaking to me or out of a place of authority. I'm speaking it out of a place of I'm in the trenches with you.
Yeah.
And that's what I honor so much about our house and the leaders that we have. It's just like there's such a culture of I'm with you
Yeah.
in this. I'm no greater than you. I'm your friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have this pulpit. That's it.
Yeah.
And so I think so many people chase the pulpit. So many people chase the
Yeah.
pulpit. I've been guilty of chasing the
Yeah.
pulpit.
Yeah.
And I just think that we need to chase people.
Yeah.
I don't think the pulpit, I wouldn't even say is a reward. I think
Yeah.
some people would argue that I don't really want the pulpit, but I know this is what God's calling me to.
Yeah.
Like I would argue that the PD, there's certain seasons where he's like, I don't want the pulpit.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's so much of a weight.
Exactly.
And I'm sure that hands down, I'd take people over the pulpit any day.
Yeah.
Well, bro, let's take it a step further. Like, don't even chase people, chase God.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then he'll align your heart with his heart.
Yeah.
Right.
And like, bro, like I was praying that today. I was like, God, help me love people the way you love them.
Mhm.
Pray it every morning because I genuinely want to. Because if I love people out of my own strength, well, I'm gonna fail them. I'm gonna fail them anyways, regardless, because I'm not perfect. But I'm like, I want to love them, and that's a heavy prayer to pray because when he gives it to you, it's a big burden. You know what I'm saying? But it's like our craving has to be first and foremost Jesus.
Yeah.
Not the pulpit, not preaching, not a job, not even our call, not our promises. Like it's the message that I preach. It's got to be the man.
Yeah.
He'll send the manna, but we don't worship the manna. Like we expect the manna, but more than that, we crave the presence. Like I just want to crave God, bro.
Yeah, bro. And dude, we could go forever. By the way.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
This crew is dangerous.
Dude, on that note, bro, I just forgot what I was gonna say. It was so good too, bro.
The presence like fell. I knew it was about to be good.
Dang it. How did I, bro?
We were talking about
What were we just
the
talking
presence
about?
over the pulpit.
Yeah.
Over everything.
Check this. We invented a microphone. We invented a pulpit. We invented.
It's man-made.
It's all man-made, bro.
Yeah.
Think of. I know Jesus preached in the synagogues.
Yeah.
He didn't have a microphone, by the way.
But he preached outside of them more.
Think about all of the miracles.
I would preach
Most of the miracles, most of the things we hear about.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, I don't know accurately the percentages, but I would say most of them happened outside of the walls.
Yeah.
Right.
Because he reproduced
Yeah.
who he was
Yeah.
in the disciples, and then they did the same.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like who we are outside of church is what we're going to reproduce.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, think about it. I've served at the church for a long time, but who I've hung out with outside of the church is like where the impact comes. Like, I know it's cool to hang out and do internship, but it's like what I do outside. But yeah, as we wind down, because you got to get to work, but we could go for hours, I'm sure. Dude, could you just like say a prayer over just anyone listening, bro? Just that God would really stir up a craving, dude. Just the same thing, basically exactly what he's done in your life, bro, that he would do it in someone else's.
Absolutely. Yeah, let's go for it. Father, I thank you for this opportunity that you've given us today to just talk and go in depth about what you're doing in each of our lives, Father. I thank you for Brandon and Frank and then this heart journey that you've placed in them, Father, to encourage people and grow people through this podcast. And not only through this podcast, but that I get to see them do it in real life, Father, that they practice what they preach, Father. I pray that this thing that we talk about, craving versus hunger, that craving is a daily thing, and it's a fire that you stoke daily, Father. I pray that you give people the courage, the strength, and the discipline to chase after you daily, Jesus. That nothing else satisfies, that there's no substitute, that there's no substance relationship, or anything that could take the place of you, Father. I pray that you give people the strength to walk through their day knowing that you have them in your hand, Father. Yes. In your name we pray. Amen.
Oh yeah, you heard what I said. This is for my family, God dream in my head. Oh yeah.